Hi, I'm Leif Stevens with Noble Cider. Noble Cider recently won Platinum, which is the highest award in the Heritage Dry category at the 6th Annual Cidercraft Magazine Awards. It also won Best in Show last year at Glencap. Winning an award always feels great, but this one in particular was important to me because the heritage or traditional categories are for ciders that are made exclusively from cider-specific apples. And the vast majority of cider produced in the United States is made from these apples, and there's nothing wrong with them. The cider made from them tends to have a very clean and acid-forward profile, and it lends itself very well to the American market, which produces a lot of flavored ciders, and it's led to a lot of great experimentation in the US cider community. However, in other countries that have a long history of cider making, like England and France, very specific apples are grown for the sole purpose of making hard cider, in exactly the same way that very specific grapes are grown for making different types of wine. As a cider maker, I really wanted to make ciders from these types of apples, but they're really hard to find in the United States, and there really weren't any available in our area. So 5 years ago, Noble Cider teamed up with Lewis Creek Farms and started planting French, English, and early American heirloom apples. This French cider comes directly from that partnership, and it's made entirely from French varieties grown at Lewis Creek Farms. Cider like this is really a labor of love, and it took a lot of work and time to create this cider. So in celebration of winning this award, I went out to Lewis Creek Farms to speak to Trey Enlow about growing some of these really incredible, amazing apples. On this amazing day, we are out at Lewis Creek Farms with Trey Enlow. Tell us a little bit about the process of creating this amazing orchard.
We take it all the way from starting new trees with propagation, grafting, and budding, all the way to growing the fruit. We grow them in the nursery for about 2 years. Then we transplant those to the orchard, where we grow them out another 3 to 5 years. Then we end up with some apples to harvest. After that, we'll press them out and we send the juice over to you guys.
Tell us a little bit about the apples themselves and how they differ from your regular apples that you grow here.
Yeah, so there's a lot of differences all the way through the process. So they taste different. Some of them have a real bitterness to them, sharpness to them that you don't find in a lot of dessert apples that you're familiar with. Some of them even have real unique flavors, like buttery or just really off the wall type stuff. But when blended together, they make a good product. So.
When they were actually on the tree this year, we got to come out and taste a lot of the different apples, and they were very unique and just surprising. A lot of them were like really, really bitter or really, really dry. A lot of them didn't taste particularly good to eat, but they made an amazing cider. I think because they're so weird and complex, that translates into the cider. Yeah, and a lot of them looked really interesting too. There was some real flat ones and real small ones.
They might not be what you typically classify as a pretty apple, but they do the job. So there's a lot of challenges when growing a lot of those different varieties. The trees grow a little differently than some of these varieties that most people are familiar with. So we've had a learning curve there trying to figure it out.
So what are they like compared to your other apples to harvest and to press?
Harvest-wise, they're typically a little smaller. They don't grow quite as large as some of the dessert apples you're familiar with from your grocery store. Press-wise, they have some uniqueness there as well. So it's been a little bit of a learning curve trying to figure out what to blend them with to make them press accordingly, that kind of thing.
So after he presses them, they send the juice to us, and it comes on a flatbed truck and a tote, and we pump that juice into one of our tanks. And for the French use a process called keeving, which basically slows the fermentation way down. And we do our own sort of version of that, where we do a very, very slow fermentation, takes about 3 months. We do a process that removes a lot of the nutrients and the yeast so that the fermentation just goes very, very slowly, and then it finishes before all the residual sugar is gone. So this cider is somewhat sweet, but that sweetness comes from the original apples. Nothing's added to it. French ciders are honestly my very favorite kind of ciders to drink. So I was very, very happy that this one turned out as well as it did. So we should drink it.
Yeah, let's try it out.
Yeah. And when making ciders, we try them out of the tanks, and we have an idea of how they are, but I don't really judge a cider until I've taken it home and had it with a meal. And that's when I really know whether it, it hit the mark or not. And I remember going home and having this for the first time and just being like, yeah, that turned out really good. Which is great, because that was a lot of work growing all those trees and this whole process.
It is. It's really good. I love the color.
Yeah, well, thank you so much.
Yeah, cheers.
The apples from this amazing orchard are featured in our Lewis Creek Orchard Reserve series of ciders. And currently we have a French cider, English, American heirloom, and black and gold ciders. And they're only made and pressed once per year. I truly recommend, if you haven't tried ciders made from cider-specific fruit, to go out and buy a bottle of French, English, or specialty cider made from some of these amazing apples. It may open up a whole new world of cider flavors and experiences for you, and hopefully you'll thank me. I'm Lee Stevens. Thank you so much for watching.